And I now give the floor to His Excellency, Mr. Mohammed Abdullahi Mohammed Farmaajo, President of the Federal Republic of Somalia.
Mr. President, Excellencies, Ambassadors, distinguished guests, colleagues, and ladies and gentlemen, before I start my speech, I would like to express my deepest sympathy and condolence to the British people and British government for barbaric terrorist attack in London. We, the Somalis, are at the forefront of this war, and we condemn it, and we will continue to fight terrorism in all its forms. It's a great honor to be addressing the UN Security Council on the important matter of Somalia's progress and remaining challenges today. The UN Security Council, alongside many other partner nations with the UN, have and continue to play a vital role in our national progress alongside our people and government, both multilateral and bilateral. From the offset, I would like to take this opportunity to thank His Excellency Antonio Guterres, the Secretary General, and his delegation, including Stephen O'Brien, the Under-Secretary General and Emergency Relief Coordinator, for visiting Somalia to witness and assess the current acute humanitarian challenges we are facing. I much welcome the statement of His Excellency Michael Keaton, the UN representative in Somalia, and agree that while there are immediate and long-term challenges to overcome, there's also much to be hopeful about as we are making tangible and sustainable progress politically. Mr. President, the progress made in Somalia can be difficult to meet the challenge of drought and a humanitarian crisis, both in our country and within the region. But we must not forget it and give way to simply doom and gloom. We in Somalia strongly believe that socioeconomic and political gain must go hand in hand with good governance to achieve sustainable development for all our people. Mr. President, as you know, we just concluded a long and protracted elections that, despite enormous challenges and skepticism, ended peacefully and democratically. On the 22nd of February, I appointed Hassan Ali Khaire as my Prime Minister, and the Federal Parliament endorsed him unanimously. He in turn formed a competent cabinet just 2 days ago. I'm optimistic that Parliament will once again support the new cabinet so we can get to work, starting with tackling the drought that is currently wreaking havoc in our nation. Somalis were among Africa's first democratic, and we have completed our first successful national elections in decades on 8th March 2017. This election saw the incumbent president, His Excellency Hassan Sheikh Mohamud, graciously accept electoral outcome to elect President Mohammed Abdullahi Farmaajo, and his speech to all delegates strongly encourage all Somalis and other stakeholders to work with and support the new administration and under the new president. Mr. President, for the first time in history, we have almost 30% women representation in our parliament. This is a substantial improvement from 14% in 2012. Furthermore, the number of young lawmakers has increased, and there is a healthy number of diaspora parliamentarians, which is a great indicator that our people living across the world are going to have an even greater impact than they already did through remittance in shaping the direction Somalia takes going forward. The new cabinet also reflects greater proportion of women and youth who are the bedrock of our society. Mr. President, among the many pressing priorities for my administration, responding effectively to the current humanitarian crisis tops the agenda. Almost half of my people are facing acute food shortages, and about 15% are facing famine. I am truly saddened by this situation, as the Somali people are proud, generous, hardworking, and truly resilient. They would have been the last to ask for assistance if they could somehow find a way to survive and beat their reality. However, it stands men and women and children walk for miles and hours in search of food and water, and many have fled to their urban centers in search of support, which our government is desperately trying to provide with assistance of international community. So many people's livelihood, especially livestock, have perished, and we are left collectively to plan a better future together in the aftermath of this humanitarian crisis. The Somali government has already sounded the alarm internationally, nationally, and is leading a drive to generate funds from Somali diaspora, business community, and other sources to provide the urgent life-saving assistance to millions of our people affected by drought needed. A few weeks ago, I declared the current drought a national disaster to unleash our institutions to act urgently. The Prime Minister chairs the National Drought Committee, which is successfully mobilizing and organizing Somalis in the country and in the diaspora to collect funds and support their brothers and sisters affected by this devastating drought. The response from the Somali people and the international community has been tremendous, and we are working with the humanitarian community and valuable partners to address the issue. We kindly request that all those who can support this effort further. Your support and generosity will be noted not just by the Somali people, but by history. Given the regional nature of the drought, it's important that sustainable region-wide resilience and early warning and intervention strategies are created, and where they existed, enhanced. We must ensure that we increase resilience of communities and develop sustainable solutions for environmentally induced disasters like this drought and priority. In this regard, we have now created a new ministry exclusively focused on humanitarian response and disaster management. And in our National Development Plan, we have an entire chapter focused on resilience and long-term strategy to mitigate cyclical droughts. In this desperate fight to avert this and other droughts, it's crucial that neighbors share ideas and experience bilaterally and multilaterally through the UN and regional administrations like IGAD. Only by doing this can hope to mitigate the devastating damage caused by droughts in East Africa. Mr. President, the humanitarian response to the drought is somewhat challenging in the certain places because of the insecurity posed by terrorist groups, Al-Shabaab. However, we are determined to defeat this terrorist group. I can confidently say that Al-Shabaab, with the courage and sacrifice of Somali National Army and AMISOM troops, have been weakened substantially. In this fight against Al-Shabaab and international terrorism, we are grateful for the continued support of AMISOM troop contributing countries, valuable international partners, including many members of Security Council, and to the Somali Security Service, who are growing in strength and ability daily. While we are grateful for all the support and sacrifice of AMISOM, we understand that the only way to protect our democracy and development against evil spoilers is to rebuild our national army, police, and other security services. I can assure you today that this is our goal and we will achieve it with your continued support. We are working with our partners to develop a clear roadmap for the reduction of AMISOM forces, all the while we increase both quality and quantity of our security services. In this regard, I would like to ask members of the Security Council to work with us on the roadmap to full lifting of arms embargo. This roadmap will be presented in the upcoming London conference in May. Ladies and gentlemen, and Mr. President, achieving sustainable peace requires more than physical security. We must invest in education, jobs, and skills to overcome the many challenges Somalia faces. This critical component of development must accompany the physical security we seek, otherwise it will prove difficult to overcome the challenges of radicalization, illegal migrations, and other tragedy of wasted talents and lives. Furthermore, we need to train and educate the future water in engineering, livestock, agriculture, and technological champion that will produce and design and maintain the drought resilience system that are necessary for ensuring today's misery is never repeated again. I'm sure you will all agree that this is a better investment of our money than responding to cyclical humanitarian crisis. Our strategy of sustainable economy recovery is detailed in the National Development Plan, and we will be presenting top priorities at the London conference, but I can point out few key ones. First, we need to seriously invest in our vital infrastructure, starting with energy, water, and major roads. Second, we need to revive key economic engines such as agriculture, livestock, and fisheries. Thirdly, we need to invest in a new sector such as telecoms and financial sectors. Finally, all of this will not be possible without first clearing our errors and normalizing our relations with international financial institutions. Tangibly, progress was already made in this regard, but we hope for the accelerated process in debt relief and subsequently access to capital loans. A detailed plan of these issues will be presented in London. Ladies and gentlemen, Excellency, and Mr. President, on the political front, we have major work ahead of us. A primary objective for us would be to deepen the federal architecture by strengthening the federal member states and finalizing the status of the capital, Mogadishu. Furthermore, we will finalize the review our constitution, which is the document that we bind the Somali people together, that will bind the Somali people together. We have so many negotiations in key areas, such as resource sharing, the relationship between federal government and the federal member states, securing our architecture and policy, and many other issues. We will approach those with an eye toward reconciliation and social healing. most importantly, we will work toward a one person, one vote in 2020, anchored in political parties system. That's the only way to make our political system more transparent and truly democratic. Excellency, Mr. President, despite the many challenges, none is insurmountable. The Somali people are resilient, patient, and ready to do the heavy lifting for their own progress. However, we have a Somali saying that states, one finger cannot wash with your whole face. We therefore want to reiterate to the United Nations Security Council on how much we value the effort of all our partners, and that in this time of greatest need and opportunity, we must collaborate further to achieve the common goals that will ensure Somalia, the region, and the rest of the world are safe, progressive, and prosperous. I thank you all.